Live from San Diego, California.
We go live to the newsroom with your host
for Nick's Nerd. Hey team, good good evening, good morning, and good night. I don't know when you're listening to this. Today is March 17th, 2021. I'm your host, Nick, obviously, with Nick's Nerd News. You'd expect to have someone named Nick hosting the show. If you're a regular, welcome back. I'm happy to have you guys here week in, week out. If you're new to the show, welcome in. My name is Nick. I'm happy that you guys are here. Today, we're going to be a little different. It's just some things going on in my personal life that prevent me from recording a full episode this week. And I just wanted to sit back and just reflect on some things. And, last week I went on a bit of a rant that is not normal for this show. And the reason I did that is just because the levels of stupidity in this world have reached untenable heights that I can't stand. And look, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, don't fall for stupid things. Do not fall into stupid traps. Look into things yourself. Look, I don't want to get into another rant because that serves no purpose. I just want to clear the air. Like I said, regardless of where you lie on the political spectrum, that is your right. I do not want to denigrate that because I believe that you have every right to believe what you want to believe. But when one side uses just falsehoods to bait the other side into things or to take advantage of the people that they're supposed to be looking out for, and the case in point was the Dr. Seuss thing. It's like, no. It was not the woke left liberal Twitter mob that went after Dr. Seuss. Okay? It was the Seuss family estate. All right? Do not fall for the trap of your politicians trying to bait you into this hate for the other person. All right? And the left does it too. I'm not defending either one of them. I am not on either one of their sides at the moment. But I just want to say that I do not want to do things like that again on this show unless I really have to. But I don't want you guys to think that that's going to be a normal thing, because it's not. It's not at all. It's just when it boils over into my world, our world, I should say, when it starts being talked about in circles reflective of the industry I like to talk about, that's when I'm going to talk about it. And unfortunately, again, on St. Patrick's Day, of all days, we're in a similar boat that we were to last year, and I'm only going to talk about this briefly, but like, don't hate people because of how they look or where they're from or where their family or ancestors are from. Like, what possesses you to decide I'm going to attack this person because I don't like where they're from? Like, it's 2021. It's not 1475. It's not 1580. We're not fighting in Europe over bullshit anymore. We don't think we're superior to other groups of people on this planet. Like, what makes you think that someone, like, in what world is someone who was probably born here, whose family has probably been here for generations, in what fucking world are they to blame for the situation the world's in right now? I don't understand anymore that you can just why you blame other people for your failings, for failings that maybe aren't yours, maybe aren't theirs either, but you just blame them because that, like, what planet are we living on anymore? because the rhetoric is getting out of hand. I'll admit I play into it sometimes. We all do. I admit that I try to hide from it in my little bubble of pop culture and geek and nerd shit. But we do have to talk about it because our community can be toxic at times. I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying I am. I'll admit in the past I probably contributed to some bullshit. But like I just it's frustrating to have to hear about this stuff day in and day out in a place where you think it shouldn't happen. But it does. Because I don't know. I do not know what is going on anymore. I'm very confused as a person who can think for himself. I'm just very, very confused as to how things are going and how people can fall into traps of bullshit. Just don't be racist. How about that? I'm not saying you are. But if you aren't, and you know people that are, tell them to stop. Teach them how to not be that way. Or stand up for your friends that are of color, of all colors, of minority friends. Stand up for them. Don't let them get trampled on. Right? We want to make sure shit like what happened in Atlanta this week doesn't happen again. But that's it for being on dour subjects, right? Let's talk about some fun stuff today. Like I said, it's not a full episode because of some things in my personal life that have prevented me from recording a full episode today. But let's just have fun today, right? This week is a big week for streaming. You have the Snyder Cut tomorrow, which I will hopefully watch on Saturday. You have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Friday. It is a great weekend for superhero fans. I don't care what anybody says about Zack Snyder. I love the man. And most of his work, I haven't seen Sucker Punch, so I can't speak to it. But most of his work, I really do enjoy. And the reviews for Justice League are starting to come in. And it looks like this was a justified release. People are enjoying it and are happy to see. They are complaining a bit that it is a tad bit long, which understandable. It's 78. It is 78 on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which shows you that it's one of his highest rated in a while, which I'm happy to see. But people are enjoying it. I know the Metacritic isn't great, but it's 57, which if you look at it, everything is, it says 53, then you click on it's 57. It's mostly mixed. There's only 4 bad reviews. So if you really sit down and think about it, on Metacritic right now, there are 38 reviews. 15 are positive, 19 are mixed, only 4 are negative. When was the last time you had a Zack Snyder film with only 4 negative, right? That's a good sign. And wow. I'm just looking at his other movies, and I'm very excited to see it. I know it's 4 hours, I know it's going to be long, but I am very, very excited to see how this movie turns out. And I cannot wait. I enjoyed Batman vs. Superman very, very much. And if you sit back and actually watch the movie, especially the extended, you'll see that it is a great movie. It is a great movie. And I've waxed poetic about it before. I don't want to drabble on forever and ever about it because I know a lot of people don't like it. But I am very excited to see what happens with Justice League. I'm happy to see Darkseid on screen finally, and I know everyone's going, copying Thanos. Yeah, well, technically Thanos copied Darkseid in the beginning, okay? Darkseid came out a full year or two before Thanos. Also created by Jack Kirby. When you think about it, that makes sense. I like I'm liking his original vision for Steppenwolf, which is good, and it looks like that Cyborg is getting his fair shot, which again is also very good given what's happened to Ray Fisher with Warner Brothers and everything like that. So it's good to see a lot of things happen, and unfortunately, everything I've read is it sets up a sequel that we'll probably never get, and a lot of people are surprisingly upset about that. There is, I guess, an epilogue that also ties into what the DC universe is now. So obviously, a lot of movies came after Justice League almost 4 years ago. That's wild to think about. But then on the other hand, you have the MCU continuing its pace. You have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which looks to expand on the story, obviously after Endgame. And what we're hoping to see at least is some really good exposition on what's going on in the Falcon's world and the Winter Soldier's world in the wake of Captain America no longer being around. And I'm excited to see the return of Baron Zemo because he did not really get his fair shot in Civil War. That movie was okay. There are a lot better Avengers movies. And Civil War had cool stuff, don't get me wrong, but Winter Soldier is definitely a better Captain America movie because essentially what Civil War was technically Avengers 2.5, right? It's what Age of Ultron should have been. But I'm excited to see an expansion of the MCU post-Endgame. I mean, we've only really had 2 projects now that are post-Endgame. Will take place in the post-Endgame world. There's going to be stuff that's post-Endgame, but post-release, not necessarily in the MCU. We had Spider-Man, and we had now WandaVision. Now we get to see the world at large in a much better view, I think, in Falcon and Winter Soldier than we did in Spider-Man Far From Home, because that was a singular story focused mainly on Peter and how he was dealing with it, and not really the world at large, other than, Tony not being around. Whereas in Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're going to see the repercussions of Captain America not being around, how that plays into both Bucky and Sam, because while, yes, they're going to miss their best friend, it's not going to be like them missing a mentor like Peter. It's a little different in their situation. So it will be a different dynamic for sure. And of course, they have a great camaraderie that, again, we can owe it back to Civil War to see their interactions together, and a bit of it in Infinity War. But I am very excited to see how it all plays out. Again, it will be a weekly installment, so we will be talking about it weekly. But I can't wait to see how it all goes. And with that, we also got the first episode of Marvel Assembled, which is the making of. I'm guessing they're going to be doing it for each of their Marvel shows. The first episode obviously was about the making of WandaVision. And there's a lot of cool things that we learn about. First off, they had to paint Vision a different color to film in black and white. And it was very period focused. They filmed it exactly how it would have been in the 50s and 60s, which that's actually really cool that they did that for the first episode. For the first 2 episodes, I should say, of WandaVision. They also, their special effects supervisor actually got his start working under the people that did the effects on Bewitched. So, he was literally the perfect person to help them do the practical effects on the first 2 episodes, putting things on wires and having things work, because when they made each episode, they said they wanted to make a point that it would feel like it was an actual episode of a show produced in that era. They wanted to make sure it fit that. And we also got to see a lot of the other inner workings with the characters and how they approached the show and how they kept building on that story that existed, of course, that started in Age of Ultron. And it follows through, and that's what I'm happiest to see. And it makes a couple of good points on exposing some of the things that people were gonna happen, and it really shows you that how much things changed due to 2020 and everything with it, because that technically wasn't supposed to be the first show. That wasn't supposed to be the first thing after Spider-Man Far From Home. We were supposed to have, like I said last week, we were supposed to have Black Widow. We were supposed to have, Falcon and Winter Soldier first and things like that. This was and Eternals. This was not supposed to be the multiverse setup. I mean, it kind of was, but there's a lot of false flags in there too that obviously are going to play very differently. And if you watch New Rockstars, as I've recommended in the past, they break it down very well. It's like they're like the hype and the stuff that people were looking at and looking for Easter eggs and stuff. If this had come out when it was supposed to, we wouldn't have probably dug as deep into it as we did, or as the world did. And oh god, Honest trailers fucking killed it this week for WandaVision 2 though. But I am excited to see where the MCU goes from here. It's unfortunate that Iron Man is not involved. I'm happy that we're getting more Thor because Taika Waititi turned that around. I cannot wait to see where things go in the MCU moving forward. I am very, very excited, and it's unfortunate that a lot of things got delayed a year or so, but hey, that's part of the course with everything. Hopefully movie theaters are going to be opening up in San Diego soon. We're going to the red tier, which means they can open up at 25% capacity. And if you ask me, that means that nobody is going to go to IMAX. So I think I shouldn't have a problem with IMAX and, Kong and Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm very excited to see that in a theater. So hopefully theaters do open up. They were supposed to open today. I think they're probably going to open hopefully later this week or next week and allow for pre-orders or pre-purchase. So I am hopeful for that because I do not want to get stuck watching Kong at home. I don't. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but I don't. Just because it just nothing beats a theater experience. I will never, ever accept that watching a movie at home is better. I just will not, because no one has the setup like a major movie theater at home, unless you have lots and lots of money. And I don't have an 80-inch screen, so it's not going to be the same. I know it's a first world problem, but some movies are meant to be watched on the big screen. So hopefully that is something we'll get to do. And, I've said in the past on this show that I want to do a lot of things, and I don't end up doing those things, and I do want to make a change. I do want to start doing more things on the website. I do want to start, recording stuff for video, and I will make do on that eventually. I'll make good on that, I should say. It's just, life gets in the way, right? And other things are going on that unfortunately do take up a lot of my extra time currently, but it's I just want to be upfront with you guys, right? I want to be open and upfront, and sometimes we will take a break from what we normally talk about, so I can be honest with you guys. I want you guys to get to know me, to feel like I'm not just a talking head. And I know you don't come to here to listen to me ramble on about not nerd shit, but hey, at the same time, we're part of a symbiotic relationship, are we not? I do stuff for you guys. You listen to me as I sit here making noise with my my boom for the mic. Sorry, but hey, it's just things happen, and time is a wicked beast. It goes slow one week, and then it creeps up on you the next, right? It just, hey, by the way, it's March fucking 17th already. Like, what the fuck? I feel it was just Christmas. Like I got shit sitting downstairs that I need to return. Like, oh, it's March? What the hell? But hey, it just, I don't know, man. I do not know. But I think we're gonna end it today. Like I said, it just, I couldn't do a full recording for you guys today, and I do apologize. Next week we'll have a double stuffed episode for sure. But I wanted to follow up on last week where it was very out of character for me to do that on this show. If you know me in my personal life, you know there are things that I care about and I will fight for. I also wanted to stand up for, I wanted to stand up for Asian Americans. They don't deserve anyone's hate. They don't deserve the vitriol and the blame that people are laying at their feet. And just like I stood up for people last year in just a horrible summer, and people of color have just been treated horribly in this country, and it's just like enough is enough, right? But with that being said, I think tonight we'll end it here. I thank you guys again every week for listening. Welcome to the show if you're new. This is not normal. Again, like I said at the beginning, but hopefully you stick around for next week and maybe listen to some of the older stuff. But like I said, I'm excited for the Snyder Cut this week. I am excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. We'll talk about those next week for sure. But I think that's going to be it for Nixner News today. Today, not forever, just today. And I will hopefully see y'all next week. As always, check out nixnernews.com. You can listen to the show right in your browser. You can find links to pages to follow us. And I don't feel like self-promoting this week is very good. So I'm just going to be very minimal. And of course, check out our social media tab. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. But that's going to be it from me today. I will catch you guys next week and on the flip side.